Nothing has brought me greater joy than watching the Walt Disney Company absolutely panic over the last few weeks. They're mad at South Park because they're making fun of their woke ideologies, constantly race swapping or religion swapping everything in their movies.
It's a brand new exclusive event with all your favorite South Park characters.
Dude, school is going to be so awesome today. I had explosive diarrhea all night.
I like big boobs.
Oh, hamburgers.
How does this even make any sense?
It makes perfect sense. I think the problem is you.
You check under the bed and make sure there's no Disney executives under there.
Oh, not again.
Yeah, only this time, it wasn't just me. They were taking all my favorite people and replacing them with diverse women complaining about the patriarchy.
So Snow White slept and waited for her prince to come, but he never did. Because a woman shouldn't have to depend on a man. Snow White was brought back to life by a lady doctor.
And she lived happily ever after?
Well, she couldn't indulge in strenuous activities like handball, but otherwise, she was fine.
That's nice.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, I don't need your business.
What an idiot I've been as a young person in this industry who has no filter and no idea what she's doing.
Yeah. Weird.
I did not like Snow White. The reason why is that the actress that plays Snow White, she acts like a bitch all the time.
Weird.
I don't need your business.
And everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
I don't need your business. Thanks.
How does a single actress take a Disney classic, one of the most cherished fairy tales in history, and turn it into a firestorm that leaves an empire reeling? Rachel Zegler was Hollywood's golden ticket, a rising star tapped to lead Disney's 2025 live-action Snow White remake, a bold reimagining of the 1937 masterpiece that launched the House of Mouse. The stage was set for magic, a diverse lead, a modern twist, and a budget north of $200 million, but what should have been a triumphant moment spiraled into chaos. From biting public comments to viral parodies, from industry-wide mockery to a box office collapse that shocked the world, this is the story of how one role became a career crisis for Zegler and a wake-up call for Disney. Buckle up. This tale is no happily ever after. Let's set the scene. It's 2021, and Rachel Zegler is the talk of Tinseltown. Fresh off her breakout role as Maria in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story, she's a triple-threat talent with a voice that could make angels weep. Critics are calling her the next big thing, and Disney agrees. They cast her as Snow White in their live-action remake, a move that feels like destiny. The original 1937 cartoon was Disney's first animated feature, a cultural touchstone that defined fairy tales for generations. Zegler, a Latina actress, brings diversity and fresh energy to the role. The plan? Reimagine Snow White as an empowered heroine, ditching the old-school romance for a story about strength and independence. Fans are buzzing with excitement, picturing a vibrant take on a beloved classic, complete with the seven dwarfs and that iconic poisoned apple. Social media lights up with fan art and speculation. This could be Disney's next big hit, a bridge between nostalgia and modernity. But even as the cameras prepared to roll, cracks were forming in this fairy tale dream, and those cracks were about to split wide open. Zegler didn't mince words when she started talking about the original Snow White. In a series of interviews, she called the 1937 film's love story weird, dismissing the prince as a stalker who had no business, in her modernized version. To her, the idea of a princess dreaming of true love was outdated, even laughable. Fans who grew up singing "Someday My Prince Will Come" were stunned. Why was the star of a remake trashing the heart of the story she was hired to tell? Social media erupted with reactions, from confusion to outright anger. If she hates the story, why take the role? One ex-post demanded, racking up thousands of likes. Then came the real gut punch. Old social media posts from Zegler resurfaced, including one from 2022, where she told Trump supporters to go away and never know peace. Half of America felt like they'd been slapped. Critics pounced, arguing she'd alienated a massive chunk of Disney's audience. Families, conservatives, and casual moviegoers who just wanted a fun night at the theater. Commentators like Joe Rogan and Bill Maher later weighed in, calling her comments a masterclass in self-sabotage. You don't insult half the country and expect them to buy tickets, Rogan said on his podcast. X posts echoed the sentiment, with hashtags like boycott Snow White trending. Zegler's defenders argued she was just being honest, a young actress speaking her truth. But to many, it felt like a betrayal, a star biting the hand that fed her. And this was only the beginning of the storm. The production itself became a lightning rod for controversy, and the seven dwarfs were at the center of it. In the original, Grumpy, Sleepy, Dopey, and the gang are iconic, each with a distinct personality that's etched into pop culture. But in 2022, actor Peter Dinklage, a prominent little person, criticized the remake for leaning into backward stereotypes by casting dwarfs. Disney, eager to avoid backlash, made a drastic call. They scrapped the dwarfs entirely, replacing them with CGI magical creatures. The decision sparked immediate outrage. Little person actors like wrestler Dylan Postal took to X to voice their frustration. "These are dream roles for us," Postal wrote. "Why take that away in the name of progress?" Fans were equally livid. Leaked images of the creatures hit the internet, showing a mishmash of tall and short figures that looked like they belonged in a generic fantasy flick, not Snow White. "They're just random," one X-user posted alongside a blurry screenshot, sparking thousands of retweets. The backlash grew louder, with fans mourning the loss of the dwarf's charm and actors lamenting lost opportunities. Disney tried to spin it, saying the creatures were inclusive, but the damage was done. The move felt like a betrayal of the story's heart, and it gave critics more ammo to call the remake woke and out of touch. But what happened next would crank the drama to 11. South Park has never been one to play nice, and in late 2024, they came for Zegler and Disney with a vengeance. Their episode, Woke White, The Reinvention, was a no-holds-barred parody of the Snow White remake. In the fake movie within the show, classic characters are replaced with diverse stand-ins, and a preachy Snow White rants about the patriarchy while shouting, "A woman doesn't need a man." The episode skewers Disney's push for inclusivity, with lines like, "Make it more lame," delivered by a cartoon Kathleen Kennedy. Viewers lost it. X lit up with clips of the episode, racking up millions of views. TikTok and YouTube were flooded with reaction videos, and memes of Zegler as a scowling princess spread like wildfire. "South Park just ended her," one X post declared, paired with a gif of Snow White rolling her eyes. The episode didn't just mock the remake, it turned Zegler into a national joke. Sources close to her say she was furious, absolutely losing it behind closed doors. Insiders claim she demanded Comedy Central pull the episode, calling it defamatory and dangerously humiliating. Her team reportedly pressured the network, but South Park doesn't bow to anyone. The episode stayed, and the memes kept coming. Zegler's attempt to fight back only made her a bigger target. And just when she thought the roasting was over, another iconic show joined the pile-on. Even Disney's own couldn't resist taking a swing. The Simpsons, despite being part of the Mouse House, aired Snow Woke, the reimagining in early 2025, a biting spoof that painted Zegler as a self-obsessed princess who scoffs at fairy tales, true love, and basically everything fans hold dear. In the episode, Snow White is revived by a lady doctor instead of a prince, a clear jab at Disney's attempt to ditch romance. "A woman shouldn't depend on a man," the cartoon princess declares, rolling her eyes. Fans ate it up. X exploded with screenshots and quotes, with one post reading, "The Simpsons just buried Zegler and Disney in one episode." Reaction videos racked up views on YouTube, and TikTok turned the Lady Doctor line into a viral soundbite. The Tabi irony wasn't lost on anyone. Disney's own show was mocking their flagship remake. It was a sign of how far Zegler had fallen, from golden star to industry punchline. Commentators pointed out the rarity of The Simpsons going after their parent company, suggesting internal frustration at Disney was boiling over. Zegler's defenders tried to spin it, saying the parodies were unfair to a young actress. But the damage was done. Hollywood was lining up to roast her, and there was no hiding from the spotlight. But her next move would only make things worse. Zegler didn't back down. She doubled down, and it cost her. Insiders say she leaned harder into her stance, defending the remake's relevant changes and brushing off critics as entitled. In one interview, she snapped, "I'm not here to pander to people who cling to outdated stories." Fans took it as another slap, and X lit up with reactions like, "She's digging her own grave." Rumors of on-set tension added fuel to the fire. Sources claim Zegler clashed with co-star Gal Gadot, who played the evil queen, and Jack Black, who had a supporting role. Black reportedly called her performance stiff and soulless, blaming her and Gadot for the film's lack of heart. There was no chemistry, an insider told Variety. It felt like they were reading lines, not living them. The gossip spread fast, with ex-posts speculating about diva behavior on set. Meanwhile, Disney was in full meltdown mode. Whispers of internal chaos leaked out, with executives blindsided by the depth of the backlash. Rumored reshoots to fix the film cost millions, pushing the budget well past $200 million. Some insiders say execs tried to coach Zegler on damage control, even hiring a media consultant to shadow her. But every interview seemed to dig the hole deeper. "She's proud of ditching the prince," one headline read, quoting Zegler. Critics joked she was wagging her finger at the audience, scolding them for loving the original. Disney faced impossible choices. Let the film fizzle in theaters and pray for streaming success, or greenlight a sequel that backtracks on the changes. For now, the brand's once unshakable loyalty was crumbling, and Zegler's dream role was a nightmare. But the final blow was still to come. On March 25, 2025, Zegler faced the ultimate Hollywood horror. She gathered a few loyal friends, Ilda, Mason, Jorge Mason, Remy, and Maria Isabel Demison, for what should have been a proud moment, watching Snow White on the big screen. Instead, it was a soul-crushing reality check. The theater was practically a ghost town, with barely a handful of people scattered in the seats. A viral clip captured the awkwardness. As Ziegler's name flashed on screen, Ilda shouted, "Zegler!" with forced enthusiasm, while Ziegler gave a weak laugh. "Rachel!" another friend cheered, but the empty seats screamed louder than any applause. No one knows if they rented the theater or if it was just naturally that deserted. Either way, the silence was deafening. The group tried to make light of it, jumping on a TikTok trend by approaching a Regal employee and joking about the turnout. "For which movie?" the employee asked, oblivious to the cringe. X users pounced, with one post reading, "This is sadder than the movie itself." The box office numbers told an even bleaker story. The film scraped together $43 million opening weekend, a catastrophic shortfall against Disney's $150 million hopes. Doll lines sat untouched on store shelves, and Snow White popcorn buckets gathered dust. Families were staying away, sending a clear message. You can't stomp on tradition, insult your audience, and expect box office gold. Joe Rogan and Bill Maher hammered the point home. "This is what happens when you lecture instead of entertain," Maher said on Real Time. Rogan was blunter. "She took a dump on half the country and thought they'd clap." X posts echoed their takes, with hashtags like "All Snow White flop" trending. The debacle was more than a bad weekend. It was a cultural flashpoint, a warning to Hollywood about the cost of overcorrecting. And the fallout was just beginning. The Snow White disaster didn't just tank at the box office, it shook Disney to its core. The film's $200 million-plus budget, swollen by reshoots, became a black mark on the company's ledger. Investors were reportedly furious, with whispers of layoffs looming as Disney grappled with a string of flops: Lightyear, Strange World, and now this. The brand that once seemed untouchable was bleeding loyalty. Fans boycotted merchandise and theater. Walkouts were reported, with some calling the film antagonistic to the original's spirit. Zegler's career, once so bright, now hangs by a thread. Rumors swirl that studios are hesitant to cast her, wary of her toxic reputation. "She's become a punchline," one producer told The Hollywood Reporter. Her defenders argue she's young, only 23, and deserves room to grow. But the damage is undeniable. Disney faces bigger questions. Can they salvage the Snow White franchise? Will they rethink their remake strategy or double down on streaming to recoup losses? And what does this mean for Hollywood's push to modernize classics? The answers are unclear, but one thing's certain. This fairy tale ended in a nightmare. So, what do you think? Did Disney misjudge their audience, or was Zegler's attitude the real poison apple? Can she bounce back, or is her career toast? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's keep this story echoing. Hollywood's watching, and the next chapter's anyone's guess.